Hello, everyone. Welcome to Faith and Fellowship. We're three guys based in Utah. I'm Kirk.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Lyric.
And the goal of our show is to share stories and beliefs from different people local to our area.
Our mission is to bring civil discourse and allow people who hold different faiths a platform to tell us what they believe.
The show's model consists of an interview episode and a follow-up response episode where we'll discuss the topics that were brought up with our guests in the initial interview and give our take from a biblical standpoint.
Full disclaimer, not all comments and opinions expressed by our guests represent our own opinions. Thank you guys for listening and enjoy this episode.
Welcome to Faith and Fellowship, podcast produced by Art City Church. We are grateful that you have joined us again for another episode, and we are excited to have a guest in the studio for this episode. But along with me, before we introduce our guest, we have Joel.
Hey guys,
in studio, back and has been for
few episodes. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and we have Lyric.
Yeah.
So
I'm here.
Honestly, this might be the first time, guys, that we've had us three and a guest. Yeah, together.
Yeah, the three of us and a guest, which was the original visit.
Didn't we have CJ with three of us?
No, I wasn't here.
Oh.
Nope, because of we had an accident tragedy this summer, and Joel was gone
this past summer.
Yeah, this past summer. Last summer.
Yeah,
I guess technically it's last summer because we're in 2024. But anyway, Joel had to go away for a while. So yeah, we were doing stuff remotely and all that kind of thing.
We're getting back to our original vision.
Yeah,
we finally saved up enough money to bail him out of jail. He was there for 4 months.
It was a tough 4 months. I mean, they say it's not that bad, but the weight room was ridiculous. I thought it would be like decent, but no, it was. They hardly had anything.
Did you get any good jokes out of prison that you can share with us?
Not that I can tell on the podcast.
Moral of the story: pay your taxes.
Not that I can tell on the air.
Hey, I've got this video about these aliens like telling these jokes.
No,
Shall we do that?
we're not.
Let's move on to our guest, shall we?
That is like 80s humor, and it's just it didn't age well.
We will put a link in the description.
I don't know about that.
No, we won't.
Because nobody knows what we're talking about. We've got to be able to do that.
You gotta send me the link.
You don't know what he's talking about because it's like you'll lose brain cells watching this.
We were talking to Maddie, which is Lyric's girlfriend, and she said there's a lot of stuff that we're saying on the podcast that if you're in our group, or the close circle, you may know, but we're also saying stuff that if you're not, everybody's like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
So we got to do a better job of putting
explaining
context, right? So we're going to have to put a link.
And I'll put a link as to why Lyric puts it down because she was wondering about that too.
So I eat a lot. That's what I'm known for. Yeah, speaking of eating a lot, there's a restaurant called Sensuous Sandwich. Have you been there?
Yes.
Good sandwiches. So they have this challenge that if you eat a 24-inch sandwich in 30 minutes, they give you a t-shirt and
easy work.
Oh, easy work.
You and I could put that down in 15.
Well, I'm that's just a lunchtime for me. I was there and I'm watching. There's these two dads and I guess their sons who are friends or something. So I'm at the sandwich place and this dads are hyping up the kids you guys got this. You keep a good pace. Don't drink water. You'll down that no problem. And I'm how big are these sandwiches? Are we talking 4 feet here? What are we talking? The way they were hyping them up, and then get the sandwich is just a 24-incher. I'm light work,
easy work,
light work.
I will put a link down below to Lyric eating this sandwich in 6.7 minutes.
Okay, can we just really quick? We're gonna get to our guest really quick though, right here.
Sorry about that.
We need to make sure that everybody understands that the slogan Lyric puts it down has nothing to do with how much food he consumes.
Not at all true.
It is. The original. I am the
They're
one.
just calling me fat,
No.
but it's I've kind of just accepted it as my calling card at this point.
I am the original one. I'm the one that coined that phrase. It was at Burger King. Joel and Lyric and I were eating lunch. And
Great American
it was
establishment.
Not, yes. Have it your way. It was not. It had nothing to do with the amount of food. It had to do with the pace, how fast.
He's like, you could really put 40 chicken nuggets down pretty quickly.
By the time I had taken 3 bites, and I don't eat slow because I was in the military, and I even ate fast before the military. Before I even ate like 3 or 4 bites of my Whopper, yours was gone.
Mine was gone, and Joelle's was beginning to be eaten by me.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna eat your tots?
Anyway, well, we're going to get to our guest. We're excited about him being in the studio with us. So Kurt Rogers is in the studio with us. We're going to get to his story and how we met and all of that. But just for introductory purposes, Kurt and I met at Art City Days, which is the city's festival that happens. Can you refrain from gurgling into the mic there, Joel? We met at Art City Days while we rent a booth there and do a fundraiser. Actually, I don't think we did the fundraiser the year you and I met. We may have. I can't remember. Well, we do a fundraiser for the local food pantry here in Springville. And so we'll be there again this year. But that's where we met for the first time. We spoke 2 hours. It was like 2 hours. We had a conversation in front of our booth. And then since then, we've had multiple conversations on email and in public and at the church service and things like that. So
how many years ago was the Art City Days that you guys met?
It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
2?
Yeah. It wasn't this past year, the year before last. So it'd be 2 years this particular Art City Days. Yeah. So what was that, 2022? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thanks for being in the studio.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So let's start by maybe giving us some background information on you, and maybe we'll start with how many years were you born in Utah?
I was actually born in Montana, but I was raised in Utah. But the early part of my life was in Midvale.
Okay.
Which is in South Salt Lake, 72nd south of.
Do you remember how old you were when you moved?
Yes, I was 8 years old. The summer, I was born in March, and that summer we moved to American Fork. And so my parents still live there in American Fork, and that's where I graduated from high school.
Okay.
The cavemen.
That's right.
That's American Fork's mascot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Not the Red Devils? They're not
no,
cool
not
enough to have the
Springville
Red
Red
Devils
Devils.
here in Springville?
I think cavemen's pretty cool.
I think we were like a 4A at that time, and Springville is always like a 2A or 1A. So we didn't actually meet with them in sporting events.
Oh, got it. Yeah. I remember my local high school went down. We were 4A, and then after getting our butt kicked so many years, we went down to 3A.
What was your mascot?
Rocket. We were the Rockets.
Roxborough Rockets?
No, not Roxborough, Person County. Because there was only high school in Person County. Only in the county, yeah. Person was the name of it. So anyway. So, okay. So what about, your family moved here and then just pretty much you grew up here, graduated here. So you guys have been here the majority of your life.
Well, actually, I'm married, and we moved here after I was married.
Moved to Springville.
Yes.
Okay, so growing up in American Fork.
Yes. I joined the Navy, and when I got out of the Navy, I was on my own for a while, and got married in 1997, and we were in Provo. We lived in Provo for a few years. But the apartments, we had a 2-bedroom apartment. It was getting small because we had a lot of kids, right? And so I moved to Springville because there was into a double wide.
Okay, so yeah.
Oh, and did you serve a mission, if you don't mind me asking?
I did.
Where was that? I thought you told me somewhere in Asia, right?
No, not me.
Oh, okay.
I was in Virginia.
Oh, well,
There's a little bit of a difference.
close enough.
I had a brother in Japan, and I have another brother that went to Guam.
Gotcha.
But,
Okay, so hold on. We got to slow down for just a little bit because that was a lot of information. I didn't know you were in the Navy. Have you shared that with me?
He's told me.
I haven't. Well, I haven't.
I don't. I remember that
You never asked.
because I was in the Marine Corps.
Did you serve a 4-year term?
Yes, I was in there for 6 years. I was in the Navy under the nuclear power program, and I failed out in the final exam. So that means final. They call it a comprehensive exam, And so I went conventional as an electrician and went to the USS Jason, which went to the Gulf in 1991.
Wow.
So I was in the Gulf War in 1991.
So did you serve your mission before you joined the Navy? Or
I
after?
did.
Okay, so graduate high school 18 to your mission. So that gets you 21 going into the Navy.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, more like, I think it was like 23 or 24 actually. But I only spent, 6 years in the Navy, and then I went National Guard for 5 years.
Okay.
And got out in 1999. So 1988 to 1999, I was in the military.
And we haven't said yet for the viewers, we know, but Kurt is part of the LDS Church. And so that's why he's, we're talking about him serving a mission. And so you serve your mission, you're in the Navy for 6 years. Okay, so you did your mission in Virginia. What part of Virginia?
I started out in mostly on the eastern board. I was Virginia Beach. I've been to Fairfax Station. I was up on the east side. I started out in the Virginia Roanoke mission, but then they split the DC mission, and I went to the DC South on my second half of my mission. So I was up and down mostly on the eastern seaboard.
Wow, was that the first time you'd ever been on the East Coast?
Yes, it was.
Wow.
I like Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia's nice.
Only place on the East Coast I've been.
Yeah. What part did you go to?
I went to Alexandria and then like DC. It was for a school trip, so all of DC. And then is it Fredericksburg where they have like that live museum where they're like, there's some place near Alexandria where they have like live actors portraying like
Civil War?
No, not Civil War, but how do I put this the best way possible? They have live actors portraying like a colony town. And so they have like live actors portraying slaves. Some are portraying blacksmiths. Some are portraying, and it's like this whole like interactive museum. It's pretty cool. I can't remember if it's called Fredericksburg. Not Fredericksburg. One of the burgs.
Well, there's a lot of,
history in Virginia.
A lot of history there, and a lot of Civil War reenactments go on in Virginia.
Then I went to the Arlington National Cemetery like 3 times in the span of 5 days.
Oh, wow.
Nothing against the cemetery, but I felt like I got the gist of the cemetery after 3 times. But cool place. I don't know. I like the weather in Virginia too. Yeah, it's during fall and it's pretty.
So you come back from the Navy. Did you meet your wife before then, or was it after you got back from the Navy?
It was after. I'd actually been, when I was in nuclear power school, I did marry somebody from Idaho, and 2 years later was divorced. It was, I guess I was foolish marrying somebody. Well, in the military, you go, everything's faster, it seems like. But she had 2 children already, and so it was kind of a tough thing. So during the Gulf War, I was married, but at the end of it, I wasn't. So
now, was she LDS or?
Yes.
2? Okay, so you met in the military, married, ended up divorcing, and then came back here after you were discharged.
Yes.
Okay. And that's when you met your current wife.
Yes, that's an interesting story too. I know.
Well, share it with us. I mean, if you can, if you want to.
Yeah, okay. I'd come back. I was kind of like lost. I didn't have any prospects or anything. I was working. I just lost the job because I was working in the National Guard full time for a while. But when President Clinton didn't sign the budget that year, all the those that were working full time for the National Guard were laid off because the budget wasn't signed. So I was kind of without a job, and
good old Clinton.
The what?
I said, good old Clinton.
Well, there's a lot. Anyway, I went. There was an old place called the Apollo Dance Hall in American Fork, and I went there, and I met a girl there, and she was just, really. She's a Hispanic, and she was very outgoing. And so for a time, here it is again. I think she had a child too, but she would have me go take her to all these dances as the chauffeur, kind of like hers. And I could go there, and she would dance with everybody else there, and leave me alone.
Gotta love Hispanics.
Did you learn to dance though, or?
Well, a little bit, but that wasn't my purpose, So, but yeah, they left me wide open, and I found my wife at one of these things.
But it wasn't her.
No.
It was, okay.
But we think that she brought us together because
Yeah.
the way she had done it, left me wide open. I could go to the dance. I could dance with whoever I wanted as well. And met somebody.
And what's your wife's name?
My wife's name is Ruth Ann.
Ruth Ann. Okay. And how many children do you have?
I have 8 with her and 1 from a previous marriage.
Okay. Which
That previous marriage I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
That 2-year marriage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had 1 from there, and 8 now, of which 2 are left at home.
2 are left, so you have 6 that have moved out of the house.
Yep.
And they're grown up.
And one of them is going to be leaving by the end of the year. He'll go on his mission by the end of the year.
And he's
He's graduating this year.
okay. Springville High.
Yes.
So 8 kids.
9 total.
Yeah. So how old is your oldest, the one from the previous marriage?
Yes.
How old is he, or is it a she?
It's a he.
Okay.
He's married. He lives in Idaho. He was born in right a year after about the Gulf time. Right after the Gulf, right during the Gulf War. So it was 1992. I think he was born in 1992. So that would make him 32? I think now.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So 32 is your oldest, and your youngest is.
Well, he's. Let's see. Yeah, I hate this.
17.
No, the second oldest is that's living at home. The one here is 14 now.
Okay.
14.
Yeah. And we won't hold you to that. Now, if somebody's listening that knows you,
I know my wife will go, no, it's 50.
you didn't get that right.
It's not 16. I know.
Yeah. I mean, 9 kids, that's a lot of dates to keep in mind.
Yeah, I have 5, and I have to use association to get them all.
It's hard
Now
to
you have
remember
a
their names.
freeloading intern.
Association.
Yeah. What's that?
Now you have a freeloading intern.
Yeah.
And you got the dog.
And I don't know your birthday, so I know it's in December.
I don't know yours either. So
December
we're even.
7th.
Not quite.
December 4th.
4th.
That's right, because your day's one before
I
mine.
just said that on the air, didn't I? Now the whole
Yes.
world knows
Social
my
Security.
birthday.
Yep. What's your social security number?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Take
9.
that to the bank.
What's your credit card? What's that expiration date? Security code?
Jeez.
So even being in, was it Montana? You said you're born?
Yes.
Has your family always been part of the LDS church?
Yes, I have. My ancestors had joined the church at the beginning of the church.
Okay, so can you go into a little bit of detail for that, like what that means?
Well, I mean, who they were, or what does that mean?
Like at the beginning, you when you say beginning, you would then mean they were someone who knew Joseph Smith?
Yes.
Okay, so do you know where that goes? So, and I know Joseph Smith had some time in New England, then down Ohio, and then Missouri,
England, and
then eventually Illinois.
Yes.
Do you know when the connection happened there? How could you piece that together for us? Do you know when that was?
Oh, they're extremely early. They were right after the church was formed.
Okay.
David White Rogers is buried in Provo here. He was the one he's my I call it pioneer ancestors.
Okay.
On my mother's line, it's Thomas Grover. We have a lot. I have lots of ancestors. I've done a lot of family history, so that's why I got my family history tie on.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah.
So I do. Cool. I enjoy family history a lot. So I do know all of it, but it's hard to explain because I could spend 3 hours on that. And that's that's not what we're looking for, right?
I was just thinking, like, when people would say you've been in it since the beginning.
Yes.
That could be, like I was saying, those different steps. For sure, maybe you can answer this question. Would most people say that the beginning would be like, okay, they knew Joseph Smith and pioneered to Utah under Brigham Young? That would be where most people would say, yeah, that's how we've been there from the beginning. Would you say that's the case?
Yes.
Because the church grew even in Joseph Smith's, from the time he, got the book, translated the Book of Mormon, went to Ohio, went to Missouri. And as all that time, the church was growing. And then usually, there's the settlement there in Illinois, and then going west, and then the rest is history. Like Utah is where probably the bigger, when you say the biggest increase has been, because this is where the settlements started with Brigham Young, and it's been here the whole time.
Yes.
So, well, cool. Have you ever done the Pioneer? Isn't there a track or something that people do?
Trek.
It's a youth activity. It's settled, and they have the youth leaders be the mom and dad and all that. But it's actually a youth activity. It's not a family activity.
So the different churches awards, they take the young people and go do the actual
you dress
trek.
up as pioneers, and you like do the whole reenactment. It's basically a pioneer reenactment.
Do you go all the way back to Nauvoo?
It's hosted by the stake. The stake is a group of wards, so it's all the youth from a group of wards in the area, the geographical area, and they go to someplace out. I think we went to Strawberry Reservoir area.
Okay.
But the idea is you would travel for so many miles in 3 or 4 days. It'd be like a week at the most.
Kind of give you a touch of what they...
Well, I mean, when I was saying Nauvoo, I mean, I know you're not going to go on covered wagons to do the trek, but I didn't know if
I think some treks you do have the covered wagons.
Well, not really. It's usually hand carts.
Yeah, hand carts. Sorry, that's the better word.
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
They'll go do it today?
Yeah.
Catherine's done it before.
I never did, because growing up in California,
Lana is in the studio.
Yeah.
We have not announced that. She's sitting over here without a microphone and listening.
We need a fifth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. The stake will do it once every 4 years, because the youth is from 14 to 18, and so they'll have a chance to go to trek once in their life.
But here, not across the United States.
Well, it depends on the stake. Like I said, mostly it's Utah stakes that do this.
Yeah,
But
I don't do it
You're
in
telling
California.
me that today they will go and what did you
Do
say?
the
You didn't say covered
reenactment.
wagon. You said what?
Hand carts.
Think of it as a reenactment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a long way.
Well,
I think you're still thinking they're going to Nauvoo.
no, we're not.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I feel like I'm confused. Like they're not doing the actual trick back to Nauvoo.
No, it's like a reenactment, like a shortened minuscule
Yeah.
of this is just a little bit of taste of the challenges the pioneers had
Got
to
it.
overcome.
Okay.
So it's a
It's
one-week
been-
trip.
Okay.
Yeah. You
Okay.
camp, you push the hand carts, you dress up like pioneers.
I apologize.
It's been a trick, a track, and a trake.
Trek, whatever. It's
Three times that you said it differently.
Trek.
Trek. Yes. Like Shrek with
I
a
guess
T.
it's not Star Trek.
Star Trek.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Okay. No. Okay. So my original question though was, because I know that I understand that part, and that's very interesting. But have you personally, or with your ward or stake or family, have you gone back to some of the historic sites throughout the United States, like Nauvoo or back in New England, in New York?
At the end of my mission, my parents bought a van and a trailer and picked me up. And so we went on the way home. We went to Palmyra and Missouri and Illinois and all the church history on the way back here to Utah.
Okay, well, that's cool. I'd like to do that.
Yeah, same.
There's a lot of historical sites that I would like to go see, and both religious and just historical. And there's a lot that I haven't seen for sure.
Yeah.
But well, cool. So you've been here. You raised your family here. Have 2 kids here. So have you lived? What year did you move to Springville?
2002, I believe.
Okay.
I had one daughter that was born right after I moved.
Okay, so 2002.
Yeah.
Okay, and have you since that time you've been part of the same ward
Yes, the same ward.
because you guys haven't moved?
That's right.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Sometimes it happens when the church is divided. When they have divisions, when they split wards or stakes. I've been to 2 different stakes in the same, and I was living in the same spot. So I've been to the Spring Creek when I first got there, and then they had the West Stake, and then they took two wards and put them back in the Spring Creek Stake, and I'm back in the Spring Creek Stake again. So it's I don't know, a political thing. It's just however they move it. When there's more people, they try to keep the congregation smaller so everybody can be can really participate.
Can you talk to us about what happens that's different within the stakes than in the wards? I know stakes are bigger. They're different. There's multiple wards in a stake, multiple congregations that make up that particular stake based off of district, like you just explained. But what happens? What's the significance of having the stakes, and what goes on there?
Well, I think it has to do with priesthood keys. The priesthood keys developed from the prophet down to the church leader, down to leaders. But the largest leader in the area would be the stake president, the leader over the stake. And he's actually they call it the president of the high priests group now. And so this way I'm saying the bishop is the president over the priest quorum. And so the idea is that all these, it has to do with priesthood, I think, is how it's devolved, how it, the authorities, or keys we call them, is used and basically to make sure everybody is served as the way they need to help families and the people as well.
So you would say, go ahead. Did you have something?
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, there's also stake conference, which is not, I don't remember, monthly, quarterly?
Stake conferences every 6 months.
Every 6 months. And then like also when I was growing up, if there was something like the bishop couldn't help you with, you could go to the stake president and ask him.
So what are you talking about stake conference?
Do you want to explain, Peter, what stake conference? Yeah.
Stake conference is, it's done twice a year. Where the stake president's presiding, and they have meetings. They don't do the sacrament that time, but they have the leaders of the church, including the Relief Society and the women's groups, would also speak under the direction of the stake president.
So all the congregations meet together twice a year. That's and then do different.
Kind of like what our church is going to do Sunday.
Like having a combined service. Okay. But like I said, you say the sacrament is not practiced there, but it's just different people still getting up and just testifying, or is there teaching involved?
It is. You would call it teaching. The stake is teaching the people what the priorities, what maybe the church leadership is seeing. If there's a problem, to how to get us back on track.
And when is it this year?
Well, it depends on let's see. In my stake, it's usually February, like it'll be next month, and 6 months after that. So,
okay.
As opposed to General Conference, which is April and October.
Right.
And stuff. So, yeah, it's usually about the same time every year.
And how many wards would you say on average are in a stake, or your stake specifically?
Well, they can be quite large. It's usually between 7 and 12. I think ours is around 9 or 10.
Okay.
When it gets too big, then they split the stake.
Right.
Yeah.
I think my stake had like 4 or 5 wards.
And is it regional? Like a lot of the wards in the area are part of a stake? Yeah.
Yeah. Think of a ward as a geographical area, kind of like a parish in the Catholic Church. It's a geographical area, and everybody in that geographical area go to a ward. And so a stake is a combination of these geographical areas, and so it's a larger geographical area.
Yeah. Cool.
My steak was medium with onions and mushrooms.
It's spelled steak, STAKE, not E.
I know.
Yeah.
I prefer mine medium rare myself.
That's a real
I don't
steak
think most
center.
people know how to cook a steak. I'm not a big steak person.
My wife and I went to Texas Roadhouse last night, and I have to admit it was pretty good food.
You always have to go 2 levels lower with them. So if you're like, oh, I want medium rare, you just got to tell them flat out rare, or
I
else
got
that
mine
steak's going to
medium,
be.
and I have to admit it was perfect. So I don't know about your experience.
He's also a fan of Culver's, so take everything he says
that's
with
a good.
food.
That's a good point.
The reason we call them steak centers is it's referring to the stake of a tent stake.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
So that's why these are like stakes through the church. And so it's almost, they can run themselves. A stake can run itself. It doesn't, because we have central government. But
Because you would look at it like you were going back just a minute ago. The hierarchy would probably be a good term to use. Okay, you have, of course, the prophet, the quorum of the 12, and then going down, eventually you're going to get to the stake president, and underneath him would be all the bishops of that particular ward.
That's right.
The wards. Okay.
And then the bishop's counselors.
It's not only hierarchy, but like you just said, it's a way to organize distribution. So if people need help, and like you said, maybe there's a problem with the bishop or something and he can't help you, then you would go up to the stake president. Nobody's going to jump the bishop and go to the prophet. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like a military kind of a thing too.
It may seem like the stake president is a little bit out of it, but it's not. He's, in fact, when I get a temple recommend, I have to go to the bishop and then I have to go to the stake president.
Okay.
So it requires both. So every couple of years I have to go meet either somebody in the stake presidency.
Is that a new rule? Because I feel like when I was a kid, like I only met with the bishop when I got my temple recommend. Did they change that recently?
No, if you are younger than 18, you're not going to be endowed, but just do baptisms for the dead, all you need is the bishop. But if you're going to do endowments or the higher covenants, then you'll need the stake president as well.
Gotcha. That makes sense then. Why?
So we're going to want... You're okay coming back.
I am.
And being part of another episode with us, because we're getting to a point where we want to kind of wind this down. And
for part 1.
Yeah, for part 1. We're going to have a part 2 with Kurt. And I just wrote that down because I think that, next time we're together, we could maybe start there, maybe help us out a little bit with the temple recommend and what you were saying there. And then we would love to get into kind of how you and I met and some of the discussion that we've made, some of the differences that we've talked about, or I really would like to hear from you next time about maybe some of the things and observances, both similarities and differences that you've seen as we have had conversations, throughout, in Artsy Days and email. So that's I learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Thank you
from your
coming
story.
For part 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're gonna, before we wrap up the episode, let's go ahead and tell you about our sponsor this half hour.
Have a sponsor?
Yeah, we got a sponsor.
Who?
It is Joel's personal training.
Okay.
Joel's a personal trainer, certified. If you're out of shape, if you can really put it down.
Kirk is looking at me while saying, if you're out of shape. I feel personally attacked.
If you need someone to, give you that extra motivation, you can call or email Joel at jsquiggle 75321.
Is that really it?
45 at yahoo.com. And he'll hook you up. But if you really are interested, because he seriously does have one, you can contact us through our Facebook page or whatever, and we can contact you. But thanks for sponsoring the episode today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Okay. All right. we
if you'd like to be a sponsor of Faith and Fellowship Podcast, reach out to us. I can tell you right now, fees are very, very low for a sponsorship. If you want to be a patron. If you want to be a patron, if you want an advertisement on each episode, fees are really, really low. Really cheap. You're not going to find cheaper advertisement.
We're pretty sure we got 10, 15 people listening
at
to this.
Least.
Yeah. So you never know.
We were top 1 podcast on 5 people Spotify Wrapped. Who? We had 5 people. It didn't tell me. One of them was Lana, but there were 4 others top podcast on their spot. So
are you serious?
I'm dead serious. So we're getting listeners.
I think
on like 20 people's, there was like 20 people that we were top 10 podcasts, like one of their top 10. So we're getting listeners.
I've maybe finished one of our episodes.
Wow.
Well, okay.
I don't like hearing my own voice.
Well, here's the thing. We're living them.
Yeah.
And so we're listening to them in real time. So I do have a hard time sometimes going back and listen to them again. But we need to, or if we're going to interview someone or do it again, like we thought about having a guest on that we had previously, I probably would do something. But I'm with you. Sometimes I have a hard time. Like
Johnny Depp doesn't watch his own movies, It's just...
Except for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Did he watch those? I thought in the interview he said he didn't watch any of them. Like he just doesn't watch his own movies.
I don't know. All right.
Well, thanks for being with us today. We are super excited to have Kurt back on our 2nd episode, and we will see you guys next week.
So long.
Eric, you want to do the intro?
Not really. We should have Kirk do it.
It's always me and Kirk. I really think you should do it.
Yell it from here.
Hi.
Welcome back.
All right.